Allow me to extend a warm welcome to all the viewers on the internet and around the world. It is sunrise on YouTube, morning on Facebook, noon on Twitter, midday on Threads, afternoon on Twitch, sunset on Instagram, and evening on Rumble. I am your host, the Ancient One, the Bachelor Supreme, the Phantom Menace, he who remains, and the master of the deceptive arts. We are broadcasting live directly from the sanctum of solitude and the citadel at the end of time. Good evening, everyone. I am the Ancient One, the Bachelor Supreme, the Phantom Menace, he who remains, and the master of the deceptive arts, and I return to you once again as the unending voice of the Vasectomites. And today, I wanted us to talk about a very serious topic, the topic of fear and the consequences of living a life in fear. I know that many people right now are living in fear, constant fear. Fear of the economy, fear from their relationship with the concern that they may be betrayed, fear of some unknown danger that could befall them, fear of being hit by a bus or some type of transportation when they're innocently trying to cross the street. But not just fear for themselves, they fear for their family, their loved ones, their children, extended family members, and so forth. Just a constant life of fear, what you might call concern, or in another term, it may be known even as worry. For the bachelors and the knee benders alike, fear is always about losing what you've got, but on a different and on different and extreme sides of what you might call the same scale and spectrum. For the knee benders, I'm going to make an assumption here, right? I'm just going to make an assumption. I never bent the knee. I never been married, no wife, no kids, and absolutely no problems. For the knee benders, I assume that their fear would come from losing what they have, right? So think of it like losing what you've worked so hard for so many years, like decades, just your entire adult life from your 20s all the way to your 60s, maybe your 70s, and all you've done is just worked since you were in your 20s until you retired in your late 60s. All you've done is just worked for this union, right? What you've sacrificed so much for, not just in terms of time and resources, what they call skill, knowledge, efficacy, that kind of thing. But you've sacrificed your dreams, your ambitions, opportunities. You gave so much of yourself to this endeavor. And then not only that, you paid so much. I mean, like in money. You went into debt for what they call family, what I would term legal matrimony and the dark dimension. And you did all this because you wanted to maintain, sustain, and keep and protect. You wanted to provide, and then you wanted to protect what you've provided and who you've provided for. And you have this tremendous fear in your heart of losing all of that, which of course you will. Oh, you're going to lose everything. I promise you that much. And anyone that tells you that it's going to work out for you is just lying to you. I'm absolutely certain that this is all going to fall apart for you in the way that you fear that it will. And nothing would entertain me more than the idea of you trying to make it work. You know, I want you to know that you are going to lose all that whole family, that dynamic that you're trying to uphold. It's gonna go, and it's all gonna go for absolutely nothing. It's gonna go, and when you look at the reasons why you lost that tremendous amount of wealth, you're gonna realize that the wealth that you lost, in comparison to the reason why you lost it, the reason is insignificant. But yes, you're gonna lose all of it. That house, that massive house, that 2 3 car garage house with all those bedrooms and those extra bathrooms, because you wanted to make sure that you don't have too many bedrooms and you don't have enough bathrooms, right? With that extra yard space that you love so much, maybe you even got a pool and other amenities, you're going to lose all that, right? That house that you paid so much to get, right? And then you paid so much into it just to maintain it, to keep looking good. The men for the yard, the plumbing, the electric, the tiling, and then they wanna redo the house. So now you gotta refurbish the house, the furniture. Have you ever seen these houses, man, these family homes? I'm always so amazed at the amount of furniture you people have. Like, there's so much furniture you can barely move through the house. Like, you need a tremendously big house just to fit in all that furniture. There's TVs in every room: TV, computer, iPad, phone, PlayStation, all kinds, every single device in every single room. There are homes that have 3 4 PlayStations. I'm not lying to you, because the kids just cannot share. So they need a PlayStation for each one. This one likes a PlayStation, this one likes an Xbox, right? And they don't want to share one TV screen to play 2 different consoles. And by the way, those TVs and consoles, they're also gone too. Those kids are all going to end up with one console that they have to share anyway. So you can kiss that goodbye. The cars, right? All those many cars, because you got a car for yourself, you got a car for your wife, you got a car for your older kids, right? That's why you need 3 garages. So or you have a car for your wife, a car for yourself, and then a car for the family. So it's like a big car that can fit everybody in. In fact, all of them are big cars, and all of them can fit everybody in. You're probably gonna lose one of those cars, right? So ultimately, it's gonna be a situation of like, you're gonna need a car. So you're not gonna let go of your car. She's gonna need a car. She's not gonna let go of her car. The house is gone. So both of you are gonna need a car, ultimately, to keep things going, to keep things moving, and to transport yourself to and from work and that kind of thing. But the other car, the family car, that one is absolutely gone, right? You can be sure of that car is gone. The kids that you wanted to watch grow up, that you wanted to raise, and nurture into fine, upstanding adults, productive, tax-paying, law-abiding citizens, members of society. That's none of that is going to happen. You're not raising those kids for 18 years. That's all gone too. And then of course the love of your life, your dream girl, right? The one that you wanted to hold on to, the one that who you thought when you were winning above all these men that were all after her too, who, by the way, they all had her. They weren't just after her, right? So you can be damn sure of that, right? And if you think I'm lying, you can go ahead and call each and every one of them, and they'll tell you that they shared a moment or two or more right? Of that, I'm absolutely sure. But anyway, this dream girl of yours that you thought you were gonna grow old with, and you thought, you know what, she's gonna be one of those like in the Hollywood movies who, she's older, maybe got a little bit of gray in her hair, but she's still hot. But she's still hot. She's still like attractive, even for her age, and she can compete with like younger women, that kind of thing. But she's still hot. You're not getting that. You're not. You're definitely not getting that. No, not you. No, 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 absolutely not. Right? You are getting the one that's hot right now. Right now. First baby, you can forget all about that hotness. All gone. All gone. And you know where all that money is going to, all that property, all those assets, all that real estate, all that time, all that effort, all that work, all those taxes. It's going to the lawyers, right? It's going all to the lawyers. And I don't want you to get upset at the lawyers. It really makes me sad when people think that I'm against the lawyers or even the child support system. I'm not. I'm all for the child support system. I hope they nail you with that child support because you didn't go get your vasectomy. You didn't freeze your sperm and get a vasectomy. So yeah, I hope they nail you with that child support, man. I hope they really give it to you too. 35%. That's what I hope they take from your salary. Maybe more. All right, 50. They should just take the whole thing. What difference does it make to me? I could kill this. I'm never going to be on child support. So, not my problem. But yeah, the lawyers are going to take all that. The lawyers are, and rightfully so, by the way. They'd be perfectly right because remember, you're the one who called the lawyer. Remember the day you walked into that lawyer's office, tears in your eyes, upset that you've been wronged, seeking justice. That guy is gonna take your justice. You're not getting no justice. He's gonna tell you his number, and then he's gonna go ahead and then give up all your stuff. That's it. That's all that's gonna happen. All right. You called the lawyer. Remember that. You hired him. You begged him. You begged him to help you. And he told you what he can do for you, and you agreed. And you went ahead and did it and ripped your life apart and then took all your money in the process. And by the way, you should be grateful. Because if he hadn't done that, if he hadn't ripped your part, first of all, your life was falling apart anyway. What he did was rip it apart in a way that you don't go to jail. Because the way it was ripped, you were headed straight to jail. So, the lawyer came in and just pulled that band aid right off. All the blood came out, which was going to come out anyway. And so you felt the pain, but you live to die another day, right? And that's what lawyers do. They let you go free, but you pay for going free. For bachelors, on the other hand, the fear is becoming the knee bender that I just described, which of course you ultimately will. Which of course you ultimately will. You're going to bend the knee. The bachelor doesn't want to have the fate of the knee bender before him. And yet, ironically, he lives his life as the benders live. He walks as they do, he talks as they do, he shops as they do, he works as they do. He's out every weekend as they do instead of taking his 90-day cycle. Work 90 days and take a few weeks off. Take 90 days, no. He goes and parties every weekend. He dates like the knee benders. He does as the knee benders do. He has relationships with counterparts in the same way that the knee benders do, that go on for far too long with no justification other than the desire to bend the knee. And yet somehow he's expecting a different result. This is the irony of bachelors, observing now as a vasectomite. And I myself have to admit that I was a victim of fears and phobias. I've spoken openly about my own deep, dark, all-encompassing fear. A fear that has not only gripped the fabric and the essence of my being, but has practically shaped the entire course of my life and my existence. And it was only by becoming a vasectomite, by freezing my sperm and getting a vasectomy. By the way, freeze your sperm, get a vasectomy. Go visit that fertility clinic. Best decision you'll ever make. I guarantee you peace of mind. You get a vasectomy, I guarantee you peace of mind. But it was through the vasectomy that I not only cured myself of this crippling, debilitating, profound, life shaking mental illness and phobia, but I believe that after years of being incident free, I mean zero incidents, I believe that I have found a permanent, verifiable, and guaranteed solution for the devastation that is tocophobia. That's right, I'm talking about tocophobia. You may have heard me discuss this before in the previous video. For your interest and benefit, I hope, tocophobia is the fear, the real or imagined fear of having children. That's what tocophobia is. It's when you have a deep, profound, genuine fear of having children, as I did. As I did. This is no laughing matter. It is very, very serious. I sadly, or maybe not so sad after all, but tocophobia is very common among women. Rightfully so. Understandably so, right? Especially pregnant women. Because, well, they're the ones that are going to be having the baby, technically speaking. Men just inseminate them, but they're the ones that actually have the baby. But there are rare cases of tocophobia that exist in men like myself. And men like myself who dread this fate. The last thing I want, the absolutely last thing I want in this world is to be a father. I really don't want to be a father. I'm speaking truly and solemnly with earnestness, sincerity, and transparent honesty when I say to you, I do not want to father a child. I never have and I never will. And I don't mean it in like some type of biological way, like having a biological legacy, someone to pass on your genes, that kind of thing, whether you're responsible for them or not, right? Or having like an offspring. Like I don't want that either, right? Because I know what it leads to. It leads to me playing catch outside, right? I don't want to play catch. I don't want to play catch. I don't want to impart knowledge and wisdom. I don't want to educate a child or put a child through school or join a village. No, I don't want that. I don't want to I don't want to talk about what I've learned or share what my father told me. Oh, I hate that. And people say, you know what my father told me? No one cares what your father told you. No one cares what your father told you. I don't want any heart-to-heart, man-to-man, father-to-son conversations. Absolutely not. I have no desire for warm, affectionate hugs or bedtime stories. I don't want to have the pride of graduation, when you see all your money walk across the stage and I paid for that useless degree. I have no desire for that. I do not want the honor of walking down the aisle or holding my grandkids in my hands while ushering in a new era and the next generation. Hell no. Absolutely not. I have no desire for any of that because I know what comes with it. You gotta bend the knee. You want all that nonsense? You gotta bend the knee and enter into the dark dimension. Now, I do I do understand that there are some men who want all this, who have the desire to do it the right way. I am not such a person. Just thinking about my own personal struggles with tocophobia, I reminisce about all the hogwash, the disrespect, the insults, the sabotage, the hog, the not hogwash, I mean to say the gaslighting. That's the word I'm looking for. Gaslighting. Nothing insults my intelligence more than telling me that I didn't see what I saw. Nothing upsets me more than that. You know? And having a counterpart tell me that I don't know what I'm seeing, oh, that upsets me. That upsets me. So much time wasted, opportunities, resources, just the patience it takes to deal with these people. You know, it's too much, man. Just knowing the level and extent of nonsense, of tripe, of malarkey that you have to deal with and contend with these people, and then you gotta compromise. Like you gotta delude yourself through compromise, which inevitably means capitulation. That's what compromise means, because you are ultimately capitulating to the relentless ego of a loser, somebody whose only pride in life and can only accomplish things from the deeds of others. Just think about that. They can only be successful if somebody else makes them successful. That's why they are always looking for somebody. If you are trying to find out why does a counterpart always look for a better partner, why don't they just go make themselves rich? Because they can't. They can only achieve something through somebody else. So somebody has to give them something in order for them to have it. This is absolutely true. And if you don't believe that, look at all the people. Look at most counterparts that actually own a home. What you'll find is they tried to buy a home, they got into tremendous debt, and then somebody came and helped them pay off that debt. And now they own a home. Now they're gonna say, well, they did it by themselves because they used their tactics, their manipulation in order to attract you and then get you to give you the house, right? The only other creature that does that is a parasite, right? This is literally what a parasite does. A parasite cannot exist on its own merit. It needs a host to accommodate them. And I could go on and on about how a man's money, quality of life, and peace of mind increase after a breakup, and after a divorce, right? But I assure you, that is only a small fraction of the relief that you feel from becoming a vasectomite. I'm speaking now about tocophobia if you suffer from the same thing, right? If you are no longer in a relationship, it is true relief. Like especially if you are like in monk mode and you're not being intimate with people, it is true relief from tocophobia, from the fear of getting somebody pregnant and inseminated. But it's mild relief. Because I'm here to tell you that if you believe that your quality of life, your money, and your peace of mind can be sustained by abstinence or what they call monk mode. I'm here to tell you that you're absolutely wrong and you're going to fail. You are going to fail, and quite frankly, you already have failed. The fact that you were thinking that monk mode or abstinence is the solution to tocophobia, to having kids, to ruining your life, to dating, all those things, I'm here to tell you that you're just setting yourself up. All you're doing is creating more desire to date. You're not decreasing the desire for dating. When you go into monk mode, right? It's it's really as good as when you're doing it. Because as soon as you stop, I mean as soon as you come out of monk mode, what you're gonna do is you're gonna say, well, I did monk mode, I practiced discipline, I'm successful at being disciplined, I know I can be without intimacy for 6 months, 12 months, 2 years. I know I can live without intimacy. Of course, I just did it for 2 years. I know I don't need no intimacy. I know I don't need a relationship, and I know I don't need a partner. I'm not dependent on anyone. And then you go get yourself a counterpart. Then you go get yourself a partner. You get yourself somebody who's going to be dependent on you. Then it's just a matter of time before she has a baby. And I can tell you exactly how long that is. It's going to be 9 months. Because the first thing you're going to do is you are going to take out 6 months of pent up, intimate frustration. And you're going to take it all out on one counterpart, and you're not going to use no protection. And she's going to get pregnant. And I know because there's an irony that I suffered through. And the irony here is that prior to getting my vasectomy, freezing my sperm and getting my vasectomy, which you should do too, my solution for tocophobia was actually getting into a relationship. And it doesn't sound like the thing to do, but it was getting into a relationship with a counterpart that was on contraception. And while it was a solution to one problem, all it did was create a myriad of other problems. Now I was attached to the counterpart. And while she was on contraception, I was her prisoner. And whether she knew it or not, or whether I knew it or not, I was her prisoner. And I know that now because I'm liberated. And it is only after you have been liberated by freezing your sperm and getting your vasectomy that you will know that you have true salvation. It is only then that I realized the magnitude of the fear that I had lived in. I was in a relationship for years, stuck with a person who, quite frankly, I had had enough with earlier on. But I realized that well, maybe not the best solution, but the best case scenario was being with a counterpart, quite frankly, that I knew who I could anticipate, right? Rather than trying to figure out with a counterpart that whose moves I could not anticipate at all. And ultimately, I realized that I couldn't anticipate any of their moves. But I could anticipate one move, and that move was that she was on contraception. Other things I really could not. Right? Now you can do as I did. You can go ahead and freeze your sperm and get a vasectomy and liberate yourself and take the path to true salvation. Or you can live out the consequences that we're going to see from today's article. Right? Today's article, which is all about living with fear. And so here's the article, 5 Predictable Consequences of Living in Fear, Part 1. There is a Part 2, and it's almost nearly the same, but Part 2 comes with solutions. I didn't really feel feel that the solutions were really that helpful to us, but the information itself is. So I went ahead and took part one. It is by Cheryl Clayton. That's Cheryl with two R's. It was published on the 3rd of February 2014. I believe it was updated sometime in 2024, I believe, almost 10 years later. And it is from Cheryl Clayton works.wordpress.com, and there is the link to the article that we will be reading together right now. It says, in week 3 of Life Goals University, by the way, her program is called Life Goals University, we explored fear. This post is about Sean King's insight on the 5 most predictable consequences of living with or living in fear. Sean says if you're not aggressive in dealing with your fears, they become strongholds that lock certain areas of your life. This is indeed true. This is indeed true. I believe that getting a vasectomy was indeed an aggressive way of dealing with a fear that would have otherwise have had devastating consequences on my life. Now, it's one thing to have a fear that is like the fear of the unknown, that kind of thing. But it's another when you fear something that is known, something that is very real, where you know that you don't want to get married, right? This is another form, I think, this is something else that I didn't really mention in my discussion about tocophobia. I think if you don't genuinely want to get married or intend to get married, then you know that tocophobia is another way or having children rather, is another way of committing you to a person and sustaining another person's life. Like you're going to be paying for two people. That's really what child support is. They say it's the child's money, but let's both be honest here, right? Taking care of the mother is taking care of the child. You know, how is the child going to eat but the mother is starving? No, they have to eat together at the same time. And you know that. And you absolutely know that. Because sometimes there's things that the child doesn't want to eat. And they won't eat it until they see somebody else eat it. Then they'll know, okay, this thing is safe. And then maybe they eat it and they like it. There were children who initially were terrified of eating ice cream. Terrified of eating ice cream. It's really not a natural instinct to grab a tub of ice cream and eat it. Then somebody tried to feed it to them and it was cold on their lips and they rejected it. And it was only after seeing somebody else eat it and seeing that person eat it that the child would then, cautiously approach the ice cream. And then they would try the first one. And once it was in their mouth, the sugar, the flavor, all of that would hit them all at once and they were instantly addicted to sugar. Right? So, I mean, solving one problem creates another problem. But indeed, it does have an immense hold onto your life, and it can prevent you from doing things. It can have you stuck in a relationship, fear, in a situation where, quite frankly, it holds you back. It says your people wonder why dreams don't become goals in reality. It's because fear is getting in the way. I wonder if I would have had, I know I wouldn't have had this platform with tocophobia, right? It's like you know what it is. It's really like giving somebody a weapon that they can use on you anytime they want for the rest of your life. That's really what it feels like to me. I see people dealing with the mother of their children and the way that the mother deals with the child in regards to the father dynamic. Man, there's no love there. There's really no love there. It's just a way to punish you from getting something that you want to have. You want to raise these kids, and they'll use those kids to punish you. I have not seen a situation where the child has been used as a tool to bring a marriage and a family together. It is very rare. The child is used as a tool to gain resources and to punish really a former lover, right? For some reason, abandonment and whatnot. They may feel abandoned, but they will not give up the child because it's their child. It came from them, right? So they're gonna keep the child, but they're gonna use the child to beat you, right? And what can you do? You gave them the power. You gave them the power, and they're using it. I would never feel comfortable giving away that type of power to someone. It's just too much power to give to one person. You give them everything, access to your finances, past, present, and future, because they want to know how much you earned, how much you're earning now, and how much you will earn in the future. And should things change, they want to be informed. That's too much power, man. Then they control how you live your weekends, how you live your weeks, where you live, when you do what. They control every aspect of your life. To me, that's too much power. You might as well bend the knee, man. You might as well, if you're going through all that child support strife, you might as well have bent the knee. Allowing their fear to linger results in these five common consequences. Missed opportunity. Fear has a way of blinding you to opportunities that are out there right now. When you eliminate some of your issues, or some of the issues in your life, or simply turn the dial down on some of the fear, you have a heightened that you have a heightened of, I think he means, sense of awareness of opportunities. For me, it was quite the opposite. It was a situation of having an opportunity. This is another thing that I think I didn't mention. When you have an opportunity to do well in your career, and you are on your way up, and it is seen, it is written, right? It's just a matter of getting the right number of years of experience, and you can get that anyway. When you are in a position of that type of advantage, when you're a young man, right? Young man, and you toil through university, and those years of struggle, you dream of coming out on the other side in a solid and permanent way, even if you got to put in that work. But you want something where you know your work is gonna bring those results. You don't want to take a risk like, oh, I'm gonna start a business and be a billionaire and then end up bankrupt in 3 months. No, no, no. It was one of those. Here's the job. Sit down, do the job. You'll be fine. You'll be more than fine. You'll do well. The longer you do it, the better you're gonna do. So it's not a situation of in 5 years, I will still be where I am. There was just no way that I would still be at the same level in 5 years. 5 years was what I needed to shoot straight to the top, right? And it was a matter of just paying your dues. There you are in your 20s, just paying your dues. And you are getting rewarded handsomely for paying those dues. You know what I mean? You're paying those dues, but those dues are paying you. And like I said, like, I made enough of those early days while I was paying my dues to just fly around the world like infinitely. I was just flying, flying, flying. That's where I really came up with the 90-day cycle. I was like, man, I need some time to really travel, you know. But I can't be traveling every month because, the employer is going to start having problems, right? Even though they're paying me enough to do it. So I need like time. There was a vacation once in my 20s where I traveled to like 4 countries in Southeast Asia in like a month. It was fantastic. fantastic. And this is the kind of thing you want to do when you're young. Like, this is the kind of thing that young people want to do. It was like Bali, which is Indonesia, Malaysia, Thailand, Cambodia. Didn't hit Singapore. Should have, but didn't. There was just nothing there for us at the time. But it was a fantastic, month. It was really a fantastic month. And to have been able to do it young, that was just a tremendous opportunity of a lifetime. And then knowing that you could just live like that for the rest of your life. And then you think to yourself, what could ruin this? What could ruin this wonderful life that I've, struggled so hard to build? And then to get it. And then to get it young, early, right out the gate. Boom, here you go. Here's your prize. Now ride it. And you ride that wave, and as soon as you hit that wave just moves you on along in a way where you're doing things that people you respected dreamed of doing, and you're just knocking them out, just nailing them. Hotels, resorts, boats, all that. You ever take a Volvo taxi, like you're calling out the taxi and you're like, you know what, let's do the luxury taxi, and then they bring out the Volvo, you know, that kind of thing, and there you are, 26 years old, walking around in shorts and t-shirts, because quite frankly it's the only thing you own. You take that first salary, and that's the first time you go buy some real clothes, some adult clothes. And they cannot believe you're spending like that. They're like, what do you do? And you're like, I'm the ancient one. That's what I do. What would ruin such a thing? Such a dream life, a charmed life, a spoiled life. You know what I mean? I sound like a spoiled brat because I am. And I didn't want to unspoil myself. And I thought to myself, you know what? I'm being given a tremendous opportunity here. And I could blow it all. I could blow it all just by getting one person pregnant. She could be the right person and turn into the wrong person. And there goes your opportunity. For me, to be in that relationship, I was protecting opportunity, not shying away from it. And it was the money from this experience that made me have the confidence to go spend that 1,550 US dollars freezing my sperm and getting a vasectomy, because I had the money to do it. I had the money to do it. The money was not the issue. It was the securing of opportunity. And it was the desire to overcome fear, the desire to overcome this tocophobia that led me straight to the urologist's office. And I have no regrets. Speaking of regrets, number 2, life with regrets. As you continue to pile up the missed opportunities, you will increasingly end up with a life full of regrets. This is so true. Fear, people who live in fear, who miss opportunities because of fear, you're going to end up regretting that. You're absolutely going to end up regretting that. I don't regret the relationship itself. I regret staying beyond where I should have left. Like, as a vasectomite now, there is so little that I would tolerate. Right? Like, I would not be inclined to tolerate anybody's bad behaviors or their bad moods. I mean, I don't have to. Not only do I not have to, I don't want to. Right? I've no interest in having you at your worst so that I can receive you at your best. I have no interest in that. If you're not going to be behaving at your best, then you won't be behaving around me at all. Not at all. I'm really not tolerating nonsense. Not right now. But prior to that, I would have. And I regret that. I'm grateful to have survived and come out on the other end with none of that baggage. No baggage whatsoever. Right? And tremendous savings, and still the opportunity is still there. The only thing that's gone from this story and this scenario that I've described is now there's no counterpart. But all of that, it still remains, which is why I'm now capable of not only making what I feel is a sufficient amount of money, I'm getting opportunities to save so much more because I'm now not entertaining the ego of a loser. I'm not celebrating anniversaries, dating anniversaries. Can you imagine celebrating knowing a stranger? Oh, we've been dating for 6 months. Let's celebrate. No, you're a stranger. No, that don't make no sense, right? But you do. You celebrate their birthdays. You celebrate their niece's birthdays, their uncle's birthdays, somebody's birthdays. For whatever reason, it's always somebody's birthday, and you always gotta buy a gift, or you gotta give her the money to buy the gift. You always gotta give her the money to buy the gift, and for some reason, she always gets a discount when you're paying. But when she's paying, it's always so much more, right? Oh no, I managed, or what she'll say is she managed to talk them down, and then she had money to do other things. No. She overcharged you. But I don't regret the relationship, the encounter. I regret staying too long. Really, if I had had the vasectomy at the time, yeah, I would have just probably left. I would have just probably just moved on with my life very, very soon. But I persisted because it was either this or, the maternity ward, right? Down at the general hospital. And that to me is a worst case scenario, right? Because now, not only did I want to leave this person, now I cannot. Even if I wanted to, I just simply cannot. We're stuck together forever. And that's an unacceptable outcome for me. That's truly an unacceptable. And it was either this or monk mode, both of which are just bad ideas, bad ideas. And I'll admit it was a bad idea, but it was the best bad idea that I had, right? All the other ideas were just catastrophic until I came up with the two-step solution. Freeze your sperm, get that vasectomy. This is actually the last screen of it. It's a very short list, very short article, but I found it to be very, very meaningful, and I'm finding it to be meaningful right now. Number 3, hills become mountains. It says, fears left unaddressed become bigger. If you need a better image, mice become monsters. If you need a better image, mice become monsters. Okay, I thought I read that wrong, but I didn't. Now, some of your goals are legitimately hills. They will take effort and time. If you build your strength and confidence, add new skill along the way, you will have the strength to climb the hills and ultimately the strength and abilities needed to climb the mountains. That's a very long sentence. But fear convinces you that you can't climb that mountain and ultimately keeps you from climbing that mountain. I understand this analogy very well, right? The hills become mountains. So something that should be accomplished with your level of skill set and your level of training, something that you should be able to accomplish, suddenly you cannot. It becomes too difficult, too cumbersome, too heavy. It requires too many resources, right? In another analogy, it's a situation of where something is small, like you haven't folded any towels, right? Something like that can lead to a divorce. And you wondering, am I really gonna lose my house over folding these towels? But then it's not just about folding the towels. It's really about the insults that you get for the towel being folded wrongly or unfolded. And it's like, the task isn't the issue. It's really the person, right? Ultimately, it just comes down to I'm really not liking the way this person talks, the energy, how they respond to even simple things like towels. Now we spent 3 weeks arguing over a towel, quite frankly, that was folded, weeks ago. The towel has already been folded, but here we are arguing about the fact that you have to ask someone to fold towels. And it's like no one is thinking about towels. No one is ever thinking about towels or dishes. Nobody thinks about them. And quite frankly, you didn't either until you got married. You never thought about dishes. You thought about holidays, you thought about trips, you thought about shopping, right? You thought about your dream relationship and your dream guy. You never once considered dishes. Why would I? Why would I be sitting here thinking, what's a good idea? Dishes. Said nobody ever, right? So here I think that maybe something like tacophobia. I think of my own fears. If somebody was to tell me that tacophobia is not a big deal, I would assume that they were a knee bender because it is an absolute big deal. I think here what they're talking about is when you have a unjustifiable fear of something, right? You think something is gonna destroy your life, but it may not, or you think something is more important than what it actually is, or you think something is more difficult than what it actually is. In this particular case, I am aware that raising kids, especially if you don't want to, like I don't, is going to be something that's very difficult and very frustrating. And it's going to take 21 years to do it. And it's going to take all my money to do it. And if I don't do it, in fact, whether I do it or not, I'm still going to lose everything in the end. So if I do it, I go broke. If I don't, I go broke very quickly. And either way, I'm still stuck with a 21-year-long bill. To me, this seems like a whole mountain. It's what it is the opposite. It's a case of tocophobia is a mountain, and a vasectomy has taken that mountain and made it into a hill. Number four, this is a very short list. Fears become phobias. Yes, this is true, right? A phobia is technically a fear, but a phobia is an enduring, long lasting fear that affects really the way you live your life. So think of somebody who is afraid of like street lights. This or the street lights being on. I don't know if there's an actual fear of street lights being on. This person will do everything they can in their power to make sure that before the street lights are on, they are home or they are in a secure place. Should the street lights go on at that particular point in time, they won't drive. They'll park the car on the side of the road and call someone to come pick them up or call an Uber or something. Right? Now, I don't know if this is a real fear or something, but I'm talking of that kind of thing where you have a fear of something and that thing becomes a phobia and that phobia becomes debilitating. Tocophobia is one of those. It was a lifelong fear. Every day of my life, every single person that I was ever intimate with. It's really a situation of I feared having children so much that I never felt a sense of pride after being intimate with someone, especially somebody who was like tremendously attractive. I always wondered, is she going to be pregnant? Is she going to be pregnant? right? Now, it was different when I was intimate with somebody that I really loved or really cared for or that kind of thing. Then you might feel different for a little while. And then it hits you. What if she's pregnant? What if she's pregnant? Right? I there are counterparts who may feel like I lost something or I lost out on something by not having them, or like I couldn't get her. I felt relief. I'm grateful for every person that I was not intimate with. You know how people have like they keep their body count. I am not joking with you. I have a list of people in my mind who I would have loved nothing more than to be intimate with, right? The ones who got away, as they say, right? I have a long list of people that I wanted to, I could have, I would have, I should have, but I didn't. I really didn't. And there are people who I wondered, oh man, I wonder how they are now. Now they are old. 100 years is a very, very long time, right? Yeah, things change in 100 years. But in those days, it would have been, a welcome experience. Then I thought to myself, what if she gets pregnant? You're what, 18, 19, on your way to university. What if she gets pregnant? What if she gets pregnant? No more university for you. No more university, no dreams come true, no shortcut to the top, right? To do what I was able to do with a degree at the time that I was able to do it, from the position that I was able to do it from, with that degree would have taken me 30 years to achieve without one. And still, maybe not. But with it, doors were wide open. You know what I mean? And I thought to myself, what if she's pregnant? All that down the drain. So, for me, I'm very grateful for the people that I didn't be intimate with. But now that I have a vasectomy, well, there's no need for that kind of gratitude. Not no more. Number four, did I just do that one? Fears become phobias. Yes. If you allow short term fears to fester, they can become a phobia that impacts the quality of your life. Yes, they can. Yes, they can. I think, if I had had a vasectomy at that time, if somebody had said to me, Ancient One, freeze your sperm, get a vasectomy, I would have probably declined out of youth and ignorance. But eventually, I would have probably done it. I would have probably gotten it done sooner. When I heard about the vasectomy, it appealed to me. But without freezing my sperm, I don't think I would have been able to do it with the confidence and the speed that I did it. And if somebody had told me that at the time, I know that I would have considered it, but I would have still wanted to think about it and to meditate on it and to do my own research to see the efficacy of each process, how long it'll take, how long it'll cost. And during that time, I may very well have gotten a counterpart inseminated. This is now assuming that I wasn't with a counterpart. If I had left the relationship and went on to get a vasectomy and then changed my mind, this is something that I think about all the time. If, let's say, I had left that relationship with the counterpart who was on birth control and then went to get a vasectomy without freezing my sperm and then changed my mind, the next counterpart, I'm telling you, would have been pregnant and inseminated. Because they would have seen the opportunity and they would have thought, okay, I'm in. I'm sure they would have. Listen, not every counterpart, right? I know some of you have dated the richest man in the world 5 times. Yes, 10 times even. Good for you, right? You're a 10 times loser. But ultimately, somebody would have taken that deal and somebody would have locked it down, you know. and they would have locked me down too. You know, this is one of those concerns that I have, right? And this is why I played it the way that I did, because it was either, stay here and try and maneuver with one counterpart, or go out there and deal with a myriad of counterparts, and anything can happen. And so it was a matter of, keep your eye on one person so you can see if there's any problems. You see where it comes from, you see it quickly, which I did and responded. And under those circumstances, it worked. But had I left those circumstances and gone on and then tried to do what I did over here with somebody else and then failed at it, all the consequences would have been, those consequences would have been disastrous, because I think of the encounter that I had with my urologist, right? A guy who, quite frankly, I do not ever plan on seeing ever again. I must have seen him twice. The first time to get the details, and the next time to do the vasectomy. Never saw him again. Don't plan to. No, oh, sorry, 3 times. The third time was to read out the sample of the all negative, right? So it was 3 times that I saw that guy to confirm that it was all clear. But what would have been the most catastrophic, and I think of the urologist about what he said. When he saw my first readout, so I went into the fertility clinic. Let me just tell you the full story. Went to the fertility clinic the first time. They told me what I needed to do. They said, come back in 3 days. They asked me, when was the last time you were intimate? I said, 2 days ago. They said, you have to come back in 3 days, having no intimacy, no intimate acts of self-gratification, that kind of thing. They said, come back in 3 days, and then we'll give you a sample with a readout, right? So went there, they gave me, I did the thing, the old arm struggle, gave them the sample, they gave me the readout, I took it to the urologist. The urologist took one look at it, and his words was plenty. He said, you have plenty in terms of sperm. This is why I then went, I only needed 8 or 9 times to get 1 billion sperm. He said, I have plenty. And indeed, I had plenty. That confirmed to me that I was at the right place at the right time. If I had made another decision, another move, with plenty being the amount of sperm that I have inside of me, not a lot, not so much, plenty, more than enough, superseding what is sufficient. I have more than what is sufficient to get the job done. So I can get the job done and then some. And I was like, oh, no. Plenty, that's exactly what I need to fix. That plentiful, bountiful sperm that the creator, whoever it be, has blessed me with. No. We need to get rid of that right now, because that plenty would have done the job. With all this running that I'm doing, all this cardio that I'm doing, I would have just had plenty more, and that you don't need that. You don't need that. So yes, I believe I did the right thing. With plenty, I definitely believe I did the right thing. Otherwise, it would have been down on my knees. Fear grows, it says. It does not remain dormant. Something as common as a fear of public speaking can have a negative impact throughout many areas of your life. Oh, yes, public speaking. Something that I've never really struggled with, because I like to be prepared. I like to have my information and something to discuss. I'm not really standing in front of a group of people talking about myself. Yes, I'm talking about myself, but the information has to be there, right? I've never struggled with public speaking, but I know people who can. Who have. And if you're struggling with public speaking, you just need to be more prepared, and I think it will help. Because sometimes you just need to read the material instead of speaking from the heart, right? If you cannot find the words yourself, just use somebody else's, and just do it and get it done. If you have to speak for an hour, make sure you have 2 hours worth of material, because that hour's worth of material is gonna run out in 45 minutes, and that extra 15 minutes is gonna go on forever, right? But if you have a fear like I had with tocophobia, which really affected my dating life in a tremendous way, and everybody else who dated opposite to what I dated, this is not to imply that I never played any away games or 1 day internationals, right? Some friendly games. This doesn't imply that at all. It just implies that, I wasn't playing in the league. It wasn't, I wasn't playing one team this week, another team next week, and another team the next week until I made it all the way to the finals and then start the league all over again. It wasn't like that, right? And perhaps I should, right, start a league. But it wasn't like that at all, right? It was really more of a home based strategy, right? And some people would say, oh, it's an inability to attract women. You have a lack of abundance mindset. If you have children, I don't want to hear it. If you're talking about abundance mindset and you've been on child support, I don't want to hear it. I'm not interested in that. Yes, there are some men who are interested in that, right? I'm not. At least I wasn't at the time. Now that I have a vasectomy, I'm all about that abundance. I'm all about that abundance. I can handle the consequences of this. But abundance with no vasectomy, man, you're gonna have 3 or 4 baby mamas and have yourself in child support court for the rest of your natural life. I cannot understand why you would want a rotation of 5 women and get all 5 pregnant. No, 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 no. You're better off with one who is not pregnant than with 5 that are pregnant. What kind of strategy is that? Now, because you want to prove that you have game, you're gonna pay child support for 30 years. For 30 years, 21 here, 21 there. Every 2 years for a decade, you're having a kid. That's 30 years of child support. And this is not like 30 years of child support for one child. No, no, no. It's 21 for that one, 18 for that one, 18 for that one, 18 for that one. It's 5 different cases of child support. No way. No way. And don't tell me, listen, 99% of men have children. This is all of you. This is all of you. Abundance mindset or no abundance mindset. You're all going to have kids. It's just a question of how many. The more you have, the worse that it becomes. So, I thought of it strategically. And I am glad that I had the limits in place that I had, right? And I would happily embrace the abundant mindset now in terms of dating when I have the vasectomy, when I know that I'm completely out of the danger. And I would love nothing more than to see you try and practice that stunt without a vasectomy and see how far that goes. Everyone that's ever preached this mindset has a kid. And the irony is, everybody that doesn't preach that mindset too also has a kid. So, it's really a question of how many kids, right? You can have 5 kids with one woman, you can have 5 kids with 5 women and end up in the same situation. When what you should be doing is freezing your sperm and getting a vasectomy. In truth, I'm just taking credit for something that was beyond my own control. I'm lucky. I'm blessed. I am a survivor. This was not due to any type of skill on my behalf. There was no skill involved, right? It was a fluke and it worked. And if you try to pull that fluke, you're going to miss. You are going to miss badly, right? I pulled a fluke that I had been practicing my entire life. You are going to walk in there and try and fire the shot out on the first ball. And it's going to be a catastrophe. And everybody's going to wonder what you were trying to do. Number five, it stunts your growth. Fear holds you back from exploring new opportunities. Indeed, it does. Even from exploring your own abilities. This is very true. In the most basic ways, it can convince you that you are safest just where you are. That any chance is a chance for failure, a risk to your well-being and the risk to your well-being, I beg your pardon, but you can turn that around to see opportunity as a chance for failure or success and do whatever you can to shift the odds in your favor. Look, there is a situation where fear prevents you from doing the thing that is going to destroy your life, where a fear for something, where I if I have a fear for something, I'm going to sit down and calculate if this fear is justified. And I felt that the fear of tocophobia was well justified. And at the time, I felt the strategy was the best strategy that I have. And I admit every single time it was a bad strategy because all she had to do was stop taking what is this, contraception, birth control, and I would have never known, and I would have gotten her pregnant. And then I would have said, well, did this happen? And she would have said, I forgot one day, when in fact she hasn't been taking it for months. You know, this kind of situation can put you in a way where on the one hand, you are trapped, right, in dealing with this person who can do whatever they want. But on the other hand, it's going to try and protect you and prevent you because you realize this is a genuine, real fear. And until I have a real, proper strategy, I need to go with the best strategy that I have, which is what I did at the time. But once I had the best strategy, once I thought about it well enough and executed it, once I froze 1 billion sperm, 1 billion was the number of my peace of mind. 1 billion sperm was the number for my peace of mind, right? So, yours might be 500 million. 500 million is a lot. But once I had the correct strategy, I was able to act with confidence, right? And move forward, right? And seek out new opportunities. But indeed, I did find that limiting my opportunities was better than expanding them under these circumstances. But now I'm all about that new opportunity. Expanding as a vasectomite is, it is the most natural thing. We want to see how far, this thing really, really can go. And I'm very curious to see how far it can go because I cannot see any way that would, I mean, there's things happen, but I cannot foresee a way where I'm just throwing money away at someone who, quite frankly, I don't even want to be with anymore. I beg your pardon. That I don't know if I could do that. I'm just happy to walk away, and the vasectomy allows me that power. It allows me freedom. It allows me true freedom. Finally, it says, and then there is my favorite mantra from the desert people from the groundbreaking science fiction series Dune. I never saw it, never cared to see it. Fear is the little death that brings total obliteration. The little death that brings total obliteration. I will face my fear. I will allow it to pass over me and through me. And when it has gone past, I will turn the inner eye to see its path where the fear has gone and there will be nothing. Only I will remain. I like that. Only I will remain. Indeed, indeed. I have faced my fear of tocophobia. I have faced my fear. And I did fear that this tocophobia, this little fear of mine, would bring death and obliteration. Right? And facing it strategically, overcoming it, right? I did not allow it to pass over me or through me. I just let it go right by me and not affect me at all. And now that it is gone, I can truly see that I remain. He who remains. I have even overcome my own personal fear to remain here. The Bachelor Supreme. And I want you to think of your own fears as we conclude, right? Think of all the fears that you have that surround having children, raising children, being a father. Ask yourself the question, do you want to be the father? If you say no, you don't want to be a father, you may also be suffering from tocophobia or some other phobia. You may just not want the responsibility, but you may be forced to face it at some point anyway. And this, I think, is unfair. I think you should, at the very least, have the choice to decide your own fate and your own outcomes. But it's very clear to me that while there are a lot of people living in genuine fear, many people really don't want to confront the fear of tocophobia or even the fear of fatherhood. Not in the serious way that we address it here on this platform. But I would suggest to you that you take this very seriously. If you know for sure that you have no intention of fathering a child, you may very well want to freeze your sperm and get a vasectomy before you have those kids. Because once you have those kids, I promise you, there is no going back. And there is nothing but misery that awaits you. Nothing but misery will await you. So go ahead and freeze your sperm and get a vasectomy and have yourself some peace of mind. Have yourself overcome this particular fear. Now, I'm not guaranteeing you that you'll overcome every fear, but I know that the fear of tocophobia, we can overcome this fear on this platform, and we already have. And if you have the right, the true, the legitimate fear of this terrifying outcome, then I suggest you freeze your sperm and get yourself a vasectomy. Otherwise, you're going to be forced to tolerate all kinds of things, all kinds of disrespect. They're going to put you in a tutu, man. I'm telling you that. They're going to put you in a tutu. And you are just going to be grinning and telling yourself you're doing it for your child. Meanwhile, your child cannot tell the difference. And your child will never remember. The only thing they're going to have are these pictures of their father in male and female lingerie and female dancing ballet costumes. That's really what's going to happen. They're going to make you bend that knee, man. You know? And now imagine your teenage daughter has to see you in a tutu, right? And you're going to be talking about you need to respect, man, respect your husband. Man, you ain't a tutu. Nobody's going to respect that. Never, ever, not for a single second. And you should be ashamed of yourself, right? But you have to be in that tutu. What else are you going to do? What else are you going to do? You bent the knee already, they're going to put you in a tutu and other costumes. And if you don't have that fear, well, then just know that, you're going to be in the dark dimension. If the fear of the tutu doesn't get to you, something else will, right? And they'll keep going until they break you. And they will. And they will. Absolutely. And it won't take much, right? And if you have these concerns, and you're listening to this platform, I'm not here to take your money. If you offer it, I will. I'm not a fool, but I'm not here for that, right? I'm here to start a movement. And it's not a movement or societal movement. It's an individual movement. It's literally for you to get up and move. Move and go to your urologist and speak to that man. Don't give me your money, give it to your urologist. Take your money. I cannot believe I'm saying this in a serious way, but I believe that this movement is that serious. For me to indicate to someone that you should move money away from me and give it to somebody else. But I also believe that as a species, and I think vasectomies are our own species. As a species, this movement could not only be lucrative for us, it could be very beneficial in other ways too. But we need more vasectomites in order to make a movement, right? Otherwise, it's just one man speaking to himself. But with you and me, now we are two. This is the end of the video, and I want to thank you again for your time, for your attention, and I want to say, truly from the bottom of my heart, I appreciate every moment that we spend together. Please remember, if you did enjoy this content, to like it and leave a thumbs up. Also, share it with people, other potential vasectomites, other people who may want to be vasectomites, right? Every man, I believe, can benefit from this information. Please share it with them if you think they'll be interested in at least having a casual conversation about vasectomy in a real, meaningful, and stable way. And also, if you would like to remain part of the conversation, please leave a comment, and I would happily respond to as many comments as I can. Honestly, I'm pretty much online, and I'm small enough to be able to respond to everyone. No ego over here. So while I still can, I appreciate the engagement, and I appreciate the time that you really take, and the effort that you make. Again, this is the end of the video. I am the Ancient One, the Bachelor Supreme, saying please freeze your sperm, get a vasectomy. Freeze your sperm, get a vasectomy, protect yourself, protect your seed, protect your solitude, and I'd like to wish you a wonderful, wonderful day.